A couple of weeks ago, I think 1 or 2 months ago, we developed a dashboard engine developed a dashboard engine that connects Hadoop to front-end tools like Tableau. Is anyone here who doesn't know what Hadoop is? Excellent. Everyone. It's quite cool. So I was working previously for one of these front-end companies like Tableau. So I was working for Qlik, and I had a lot of customers who were asking me, or like Qlik and Tableau are these kind of tools that don't really work with really big data sets. When you have shitloads of data, like every hour 1 terabyte or 1 petabyte of data coming through to your data warehouse or data infrastructure. And Qlik View, for example, is loading data into in-memory and couldn't store all this data into the in-memory of a computer system. So it needs to connect to big storage systems like Hadoop. So the problem is making a query on Hadoop takes a long time if we have these big data sets. So what our company did is we developed a dashboard engine to connect front-end tools like Tableau to Hadoop and get a response time in a matter of seconds instead of minutes or up to hours. But I'm gonna quickly introduce my colleagues. That's Matthew McDavid. He just moved from the States as well. Is managed projects, client projects. Yeah. And Pavan Chala is our data engineer and was also giving a lot of presentations previously on our dashboard engine and will later give the demonstration of the technology. But I give over now to Matthew McDavid.
Thank you very much, Pierre. Thank you for everyone for being awake. I know it's been several hours and it's getting towards the end of the day. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy work schedules as well to be here. We're very happy to present and hopefully you guys will get something exciting out of this and there's questions to follow. So just kind of a quick overview of what we're going to talk. So just a brief introduction about ThinkBig. We'll expedite it a bit since Pierre had a bit of time to introduce you to our organization. Then our engagement model, how we engage with clients and customers, kind of what we do from a services perspective. Some of our solution offerings, and then very quickly getting through those things to really show you the meat of our presentation, which is the dashboard engine, the background for what we're going to show you from a use case perspective, and then of course the demo of actually showing the dashboard engine, followed by Q&A. So think bigger. So our company is ThinkBig. We're formerly ThinkBig Analytics. Last September, we were acquired by an organization called Teradata, which is primarily an IT hardware software organization based out of the United States. Been around for quite a while, since 1978. Multi-billion-dollar company within the States. And now we have, through that acquisition, been able to expand for the first time internationally. Myself, I moved here on Tuesday, red eye on Monday night from New York, so a little bit jet lag, but handling it. So we had a number of folks relocate, as well as a number of folks being hired organically within the United Kingdom, as well as in Ireland. We have an office within London, as well as in Dublin. We were founded in 2010, which back then, it was more of a concept of what is Hadoop. Really kind of educating folks within the IT community around what Hadoop does, what big data technologies do, what NoSQL does. Since 2010, you've seen a huge uptick and surge of the use of Hadoop, especially the use of the big buzzword, big data. You could talk to your grandparents, maybe they even hear about big data and what it means, featured in Forbes magazine, etc. So you've seen that the market kind of explode around words particularly like Hadoop. On the right here, you see job trends from Indeed.com. So you see that huge surge of job results coming from that website, both in terms of absolute terms as well as relativistic terms. So we were the first pure play, purpose-driven big data professional services firm. So I know that there's a lot of qualifiers there, but we were really early on in the space to deliver solution services around Hadoop within the United States. And so that includes end-to-end, kind of soup to nuts, A to B, everything. So whether it's strategy implementations, whether it's engineering implementations, whether it's data science analytics, or even managed services types offerings, we were kind of delivering that to clients from day one. We also have a training academy where we train folks, our clients, as well as an internal academy where we train our own folks to bring them from kind of the Java world where they didn't have big data expertise necessarily to these big data skills and allowing them to be functional. We are hiring aggressively, so if any of you are interested in any of these little logos down here or just in general open source big data technology, we would love to talk and have conversations around that. So throughout our 5-year history, we've been able to work with some of the biggest clients within their various respective industries. One of the great things about big data and what makes it really interesting to talk about is the horizontal applicability across all verticals. You're able to talk about use cases and technologies for all types of industries where you're able to take massive amounts of data, disparate data sets, unstructured data sets, put into a data lake, which is a very popular term nowadays for how you view the data, and then extract value from that data using complex tools in the Hadoop ecosystem, NoSQL ecosystem, the big data ecosystem at large. So, generally, what this slide is showing is that we've through our 5-year history, starting from a few folks out in Mountain View, California, have been able to grow across the United States and now internationally to work with some of the biggest firms in the entire world. So again, just to kind of show, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into the specifics here, but really soup to nuts. Organizations come to us often and they say, what does big data mean to us? How do we utilize big data for our organization? How do we kind of understand its applicability, their use cases? What should we start off with first? What are the low-hanging fruit? All those different types of things. I think there was a slide just in this last presentation, which I thought was very useful, where executives in the C-suite see those value drivers. They don't really care about the minutiae of the data. They're not interested in the data and like the interesting correlation that you would be reading in The Economist or something like that. What they care about is how do we sell more products, how do we acquire new customers, etc. So from that high level, we interview folks, we learn more about the organization, what drives them from a data perspective, and then we talk to the IT folks to see what technologies they're using, what things that they're currently addressing. And the rift that was there before, again, mirroring the previous presentation that was just done, is growing smaller and smaller. IT and kind of the C-suite, the business executives, there isn't as much of that gap. Now you see chief data officers as part of the C-suite as opposed to chief technology officers. So really owning data and using it to drive revenue, to drive more customers, etc. So really starting off with that first type of strategy engagement to give them an idea and a roadmap around what we can do from an implementation perspective, and then eventually when we build these data lakes, these systems, providing support and providing analytic solutions with our data science practice on top. So how do you extract the value from that data lake system? So this is a slide just kind of diving deeper within our methodology. It kind of seems like it's a step 1, 2, 3, 4 process. It's not necessarily that. It's more kind of representing the chain, the links between these various things, but it really does, organizations like a large organization, a large telco company, a large financial services company, a large high-tech manufacturing company, they're going to want to know, how do we create a big data practice? Something that will stand the test of time for years to come. When the oil, the data deluge and data is like oil, all the value that you see from companies extracting data like Google, becoming a company founded in 1998 from 2 guys who dropped out of Google grad school to Stanford grad school to being one of the largest organizations in the world. Replicating that type of practice within a large Fortune 500 company to be able to stay relevant and to be able to acquire new customers. In order to do that, you really need to not necessarily check off every one of these boxes, but you need to have a cohort, a concerted plan around how you deliver all these various big data solutions. So we help clients strategize, give them a roadmap for a year or two. We move into program management, designing solutions, use case architectures, all those types of things, and then actually engineering the solution. So we use an agile methodology, and velocity kind of goes along with agile, so we like that terminology, where we deliver fast, repeatable release cycles around 2 to 3 months where we give clients value quickly. Then that moves into managed services, and most importantly, being able to allow customers to see value in all of the data in which we put into a data lake or a big data platform type system. So again, just kind of, these are some of the offerings that we have. So starting out with the roadmap, we have a data lake starter program to kind of build that data lake. Who here has heard the term data lake before? So it seems like at least half to 75%. It's a very common term nowadays, and it's really emblematic of what we've done historically with over 70 clients, about 100 different projects. We've seen this data lake come up more and more and more. Back then, we didn't really call it that because of kind of the terminology, but we definitely are able to associate the terminology with what we've done in the past. If you have a data lake that we've built or that someone else built or what you build internally, we have optimization services, we have managed services on top of it. Presto for the enterprise, which is a particular layer that we now offer as of June 10th, 2015. It's a newer offering, not too familiar with it myself, to be honest. And then just general big data managed services, and of course our ThinkBig Academy, which is training, which we've done for clients in the past. In fact, there's a client in this room right now we've done it for. So it's far-reaching. And then of course we have our horizontal solution services like IT threat detection, financial services, fraud, risk analytics, device data manufacturing operations. I recently was on a project with the largest hard drive manufacturer in the world, basically ingesting terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of information, nearly a whole petabyte of information to a big data lake, and then being able to connect it to their SPSS systems, their SaaS systems, as was described in the beginning by Dan, these older systems that people are very skilled at, being able to connect it, create the conduits and the pipelines to this big data platform, this data lake, to be able to extract value from all of their databases all across the world. So databases in the Philippines and China and Japan can talk to the databases within the United States to really be able to cross-reference that data so that you know, down to the screw, what goes into a hard drive to be able to improve the value of the hard drive and be able to track why hard drives fail for customers. So it's an incredibly useful thing for the business and an industry, or rather a set of use cases that organizations like this company are just throwing money at. So you get all of your data into one central location, but it gets you a foot in the door to be able to validate investment from a C-suite level to show people that this is something that should be invested. This is how we stay above our competitors. In the case of the hard drive manufacturer, hard drive companies were all over the place, semiconductor companies in the 90s, and then all of a sudden they all got acquired, squashed, went belly up because of the fact that you get a commoditized market. A lot of markets become commoditized, so how do you stay ahead of your competition? This is absolutely one way to do that. Maximizing data, staying ahead of your customers, and kind of the same way with Huddle. Huddle, you have sports teams that have salary caps, they're putting the same amount of money in. How do you beat the other team? It's the maximization of the value of data, and so we really help clients along these lines. All right, so I'm now going to pass it off to Pavan. We're going to shortly go through some background information related to the dashboard engine, and then we'll show you the demo and have a Q&A, and that will be the rest of the presentation. So thank you very much. I will now pass it to Pavan.
Thanks, man. Hi, everyone. I think it's 5 o'clock. Everybody is sleeping. Are about to jump out. This is about data lake, and I see a few hands raised when we ask about how many of you use data lake. And I'm pretty much sure that you all know about data lake and how it is and things like that. But how many of you understand this picture before I say it? Okay. So basically what we are trying to do in data lake is like we want to capture all the data and we want to process the data and make it available to the end users. That's what we want to do. End user maybe CISO, or maybe business analyst, or maybe data science, or anybody. So what we are doing here is like we are evaluating the data and preparing the data for ingestion, and also we are capturing the metadata and we are providing the security. Also we are making the compression methodologies to struct the data and provide the dashboards. I think we already discussed in previous sessions, we discussed about the dashboard and how it is useful. So we will be doing that dashboard as the end as well. So in this whole process, most of the people who are using data lake or who are building data lake, they are able to do all this process. However, they are not able to manage the metadata. So from where it has come from, who has generated it, what system has been generated, how many servers has been injected the data, and what time they have injected. All this information, they are at the moment in the industry. There are not many products which are available to capture the metadata. So we have a product called Teradata Loom, which helps us to capture all the metadata, how it has been lineaged, so where it has been started and how it has been processed, who has accessed it, when it has been accessed, and which systems have been taken that input, things like that. So all this metadata has been captured. So this is about the data lake. And now I'm going to introduce the technology also. I'm not sure how many of you are using the technology, big data technologies ecosystems today. Can you raise your hands if you are using any big data ecosystems? One. Okay. So my session may be very boring for the rest. So we are actually using many technologies. I'm not sure if you want me to go to each and every technical terminology here. Otherwise, whatever the diagram I showed you earlier. So these are the technologies we used to introduce that or to implement that data lake. Okay. And the good part from us is like we are vendor neutral. So we are not locked for only Cloudera or Mapper or Hortonworks, Teradata, not like that. We use anything, any available technologies. I'm sure you might have heard about Cloudera and Hortonworks, right? Please. Somebody say yes. Otherwise it's very boring. Okay, thank you. Next.
Sure, yeah.
So today we are going to show dashboard. Again, I'm trying to make it very fast because I see many of you are not showing interest on not having the background of technology. So I'll go a little fast, but I'll take the Q&As and then I'll try to answer it if any technical guys have any questions. When I say technical guys, the guys who are really working on Hadoop ecosystem, not about the rest of the technologies. Yeah. So the dashboard engine, basically what is dashboard? Where we use dashboard? So obviously the business analyst or maybe the C-suite guys, we use dashboard to understand what's happening. Okay, so we have in big data where the dashboard fits. Today in the industry, maybe you are having relational databases and you may be having your own business intelligence reports. But when the Hadoop evaluation happens or big data evaluation happens, we want to use, or users want to use Hadoop as a backend to see the reports. They want to see the reports on a large data sets, not the limited data sets what we use in Oracle or any other RDBMS products. So this is what the Hadoop, this is what the dashboard engine is, or dashboard is. So now we will, on top of this dashboard, that takes time when you are trying to run the reports on the big data. So we build an engine called dashboard engine to make the reports quicker and fast. So one is, if you look at it, we can use these reports on the real-time data, and also it's expand to the number of users. If you have hundreds or thousands of users, it is compatible, and low latency and other stuff, and it works on any sort of BI tools like Tableau or maybe D3.js or maybe MicroStrategy or some other technologies, or even Excel sheets. So it is compatible. We'll show you the solution how it is compatible. So if we are not using the dashboard engine, the ThinkBig dashboard engine, how we generate the reports by using big data. So this is how it is. So you may be using Tableau to generate the reports. Backend will be big data Hadoop system. As Dan mentioned in the previous session, that there may be 1 million records and you want to generate the report. So 1 million may be fine. What if there are 10 million or 100 million or billion of records? So in that situation, your data is increasing, hence you need to increase your middle type server also, the Tableau server also. It is not possible to expand completely. Hence, what we have given, this is one limitation. And the other thing it doesn't scale as user grows. That is another problem. And if you are going for other Hadoop technologies like Impala or any other fast systems which build on top of Hadoop as a SQL front end, still they have some limitations, like the cluster has to be dedicated for that report or for that query. And if you have many users, again it will not be that easy. I will show you exactly where I am coming from when I am going to show that demo. So the architecture or the solution what we are providing for this is very simple. Like we are going to do the pre-compute. So whatever the report you want to generate, we pre-compute it on a huge data, then make it available for you. So when make it available for you means it will be a generic model where you can use any tool to access the data. So we are going to use the REST APIs to access that data. That's the entire architecture. This is a very simple architecture. The concept behind this is MoLab. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of multi-dimensional OLAP. Does anyone know? Okay, thank you. So the concept is like we do the cubes, we build the cubes and make the reports ready so that you can access the reports. Your backend will be big data, but still you can do the pre-compute. The pre-compute will be done by Spark, or maybe you can use traditional MapReduce also if you are not comfortable to use the latest technology called Spark. That is the architecture we have. And this is just, I'm not going to the technical part, sorry. This is just building the cube in HBase. And this is how we provide the data. So we will be pre-compute all the stuff and put it into HBase. Then we will provide a REST API from where you can get the reports quickly. And it is compatible for any technology. It can be Excel sheet, it can be your browser, it can be your Tableau or any other BI tool. If you are going to use any ODBC, JDBC drivers, if you are trying to use with that, then you can use SQL API.
And so just to kind of insert, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, just the way I understand it as well, using a tool like Hadoop, for instance, when you're on Facebook or LinkedIn, there's massive jobs that get run nightly, batch jobs that take hours and hours to compute, to be able to look through the entire graph, to be able to find those connections, right? So what if you're a business user that doesn't have hours to wait, or you're not really that technically savvy with Hadoop? So what if it can be pre-computed in the evening, and then you can come in and have insightful analytics in the morning when you come into work? So this allows you to do those types of things in a nutshell, right?
That's correct. Demo
time?
Yeah.
We go through these slides here.
Yeah. So basically, before we give the demo, I just want to tell you what is the architecture we have. So we are using 16-node cluster, which is Teradata appliance. It has Hortonworks platform, HTTP 2.2, I think. And we have taken 30 GB of data. This is, honestly speaking, very small data. This is just for demo purpose. But in production, you will have huge data. So even for this 30 GB of data, you have 160 millions of records. And we are going to query on 160 millions of records. And if we try to use directly the Hadoop ecosystems like Hive or Impala or any other front-end tools, it takes minimum of 1 minute, 2 minutes to generate the report. And let's say you want to generate a report and you want to change the date range. I want to get the data only for January, you will get report. And another user wants to do it for January and February. Then again it will start the job and it will process all the stuff and it will give you the results. It takes another 2 more minutes. So if you have hundreds of users changing the queries, your cluster is going to take too many resources and you will be having some sort of delay while accessing the reports. As we said, we pre-computed. So for this demo, we have pre-computed for all the possible reports. Hence, the data has been increased from 160 millions to 35 billion records. Even the data size has gone from 30 GB to 2 terabyte. If we use the compression technologies like Snappy or BJ2 or some other compression technologies available in the big data world, then it can go to 1 terabyte or less than 1 terabyte. Still, if you want fast access, it has to be pre-computed. If you pre-compute it, it grows big. Still, we have capacity to hold it in a big data world like Hadoop. So we are good with this solution. So, as I explained, like when you are trying to access the reports in today's world or relational world, we are using SQL, right? So you will be having SQL query like this. Instead of having this SQL query directly running on your Hadoop environment, what we are providing is a REST API. With REST API, you will be able to access the query straight away. So it is compatible with any business intelligence tool. That's the advantage with this solution. And the demo, I'll go and I'll quickly show you them. And I'm skipping all this. These are all like how you will configure it and things like that.
I guess when he's setting that up, does anyone have any questions thus far about what we've gone over? Or? Yes.
So in terms of pre-computing, I guess I didn't understand. Do you pre-compute every possible query that you can?
Yeah, basically. So that's how the rows went from 160 million to 35 billion. So you're expanding the amount of potential scenarios and looking at all the data so that when an analyst wants to look at the data from a particular view, you have it very quickly. One of the limitations around Hadoop is that it's batch oriented. There's an incredible amount of tools in the ecosystem that alleviate that type of limitation. But this allows you to kind of have that pre-computed and then allows the analyst to quickly look at data from various viewpoints.
Is it possible that you might sort of miss
Absolutely,
some
yeah.
queries that they might
Have
ask
changed.
Yeah, they might want something that's not pre-computed.
That's correct. So to answer to that question, we have that XML which I skipped because it is too technical. So we have a front end where you can configure what dimensions you want or what aggregations you want. You can configure it and then the job will process and then make the data ready for you, so that business users will not see that behind the scenes.
Another thing to note, and this has just been from personal experience with clients, is that you have a tragedy of the commons as well when you have a lot of users putting in queries on Hadoop. So let's say that somebody wants to run a job and it takes a certain amount of resourcing power, it takes several hours. Well, there's only a certain amount of power that you can use, and that power is limited, and sometimes it's very expensive if you're using cloud platforms to do the processing. So when you do the pre-computing, you don't have so many people trying to be on the same system, using the same system at the same time, which allows for people to work in an environment where multiple people can access the data. That being said, is that when you have data that changes very, very quickly, and that change is very important to your business, then that's a little bit different. Every use case is a value and a negative, right? So these are particular scenarios. This is a scenario where you need multiple people looking at data, looking at it in a quick way from multiple viewpoints to be able to get value from the data, if that makes sense.